I think we should start now. So good afternoon, everyone, for joining the call. First of all, I want to say congratulations to everyone that has migrated to one country or the other within Europe and United Kingdom. I say congratulations on behalf of TCN Diaspora Community Group and on behalf of our pastor, Kojo Imadi. And for those that are still in Nigeria currently, we also say congratulations in advance. I will pray that your day of joy will definitely come in the name of Jesus. So without wasting much of our time, today we have a lot of speakers. We'll be speaking on different topics on finding job, getting an apartment in Europe, United Kingdom, and also on childcare as well. So we'll be speaking on those topics, and we have professionals that will be discussing these topics with us. So, but before we start, can we just request someone? I don't want to call any name, but if you are inspired, can you please give us an opening prayer? Anyone that wants to receive his blessing fast, 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 give us an opening prayer, please.
Okay, okay. I think Bisola wants to pray for us. Yeah, go on, Bisola.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
In Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Our Father and our God, we want to thank you, we worship you, we honor you, we adore you. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the gift of relocation. We thank you for a seminar like this. We say your name alone be glorified in Jesus' name. Father, we commit the seminar unto thy care, unto your hands, that you take control. Father, Lord, let us hear words that will minister to our lives, that will change our lives in Jesus' name. We give
Amen.
utterances in the name of Jesus. Help
Amen.
them to speak the truth. Help us to understand. Give us receptive hearts in the name of Jesus. We pray that
Amen.
this seminar will not live the same way we have come in the name of Jesus. Thank you for
Amen.
this mighty name we have prayed.
Amen.
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 Amen in Jesus' name. So we'll be starting off with our first session today. So today we'll kick off now and we'll finish by 6 p.m. on the dot. We won't spend more than that so that we can go with other activities of the day. So our first speaker today will be an HR professional. So I'll call on my colleague, my co-host Adidayo, to please introduce our speaker to us so I can kickstart the session.
Okay. I'll be introducing Okoyemi Gaji. Okoyemi recently joined Ren Money as the head of talent management. She was previously the head of commercial in Group Adelia Limited, which is a global manpower and HR servicing company. She is a seasoned HR professional with over 12 years of experience. She's highly experienced working across all major industries in Nigeria, having excellent knowledge and experience in strategy, human resources, consulting. She strategically does advise clients on building human capital management, managing talent, recruitment and selection, employee engagement, and HR processes. She worked in this at Adelia for about 9 years in different capacities. Currently, she studied, let me just go through a bit about what she studied. She studied industrial relations and personal management from Lagos State University. She has a master's in human resources management from Eret White University. I think that should be in Scotland, if I'm right. And she also is a licensed human resources professional from the CIPM, which is Chartered Institute of Professional Management, and also an associate member of the same institute. She's a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants in Nigeria, FIMC. She is a certified HR certification from the HR Certification Institute as a senior professional in Human Resources International, in Human Resources International. Okoyemi has a passion for teaching women on financial literacy, emergency funds, budgeting, investments, and creating a diversified investment portfolio that guarantees long-term financial independence. Hopefully, I know she's aspiring. She's married to an aspiring Lagos State governor. I'm sure you keep an eye out for that. And she's blessed with 2 children. Okoyemi, the floor is yours as you take us through looking for jobs, HR, what we should look for as people in the UK, Ireland, people, what should we be doing? So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Adedayo. Thank you so much. I apologize, that profile is a bit old. So just to bring everyone up to speed, I am in the UK and I work with Hayes as a recruitment partner and presently in charge of about 4 hubs. So I'm in charge of a hub that sits in hub, meaning a group of recruiters that sits in Bristol, Manchester, Leeds, and London. So I focus basically for the public sector. So I work for majority of the public sector, major public sector, and I ensure that these hubs are delivering on the recruitment briefs that we receive from the public sector. So I'll be speaking from how to get into the market within the UK, because again, it is slightly different from Nigeria. And I hope that at the end of this session, everyone will get 1 or 2 things that they can, help improve their chances of actually landing the job of their dream in the UK. It is very possible because the opportunities here are endless. And at the end of the day, you have to do the work. You need to put the work in to be able to get what you require. So I will start very quickly. I put it in 5 stages. Sorry, I don't have a slide, but I would try to see if I can send a couple of things across after this session. So first, step 1 in finding the role of your dreams or finding a job within the UK is to first start with you. So it starts with you. And I put it as, what do you have in your hand? I mean, what role are you looking for? What is the dream job that you want? Because again, people, approach me many times and say, oh, I'm looking for a job. And I say, what job? And sometimes they don't necessarily have the answer to that question. And that for me is the first indication that you don't really know what you have or what you want. So I would say the first job to start with is you first of all need to identify what role you can be presented for, what role you can put your CV for. So it's in different, I hope everyone has a pen and paper because I would ask questions. And before I go too far, I need to know my audience. So if you can drop me a quick message on the chat telling me in one word what defines you. Are you a finance professional? Are you a HR? Are you sales? Are you marketing? Tell me what you do in one word. If you cannot define it in one word, then there's an issue. So just tech, yes, please keep them coming. Project manager, fantastic. So keep them coming so that I can tailor what I'm saying in line with your career aspirations, okay? So first is, what can you do? As an individual, what value can you add? What are your options? What skills do you have? When you were in Nigeria, what were you doing? Sometimes what people were doing in Nigeria is completely different from what they're doing in the UK, which is absolutely fine. But you need to first identify what you can do in the UK in terms of skills, in terms of a career path, in terms of your passion as well, because sometimes it's very possible that what you were doing in Nigeria, you didn't really like it. And now you want to, move into a new area. Question is, what do you have in your hand? What are you passionate about? And again, because this is a Christian setting, I would like to also speak spiritually, that you have gifts and God has given gifts to everyone. It is a crime to keep your gifts and not utilize it. So you have gifts, because even the Bible says that a man's gifts makes room for him. The reality is that no one will come to you or find you suitable if you have nothing you are bringing to the table. Finding a job here, it's about value. What value can you add? And that is the beginning of the work. So what are you passionate about? What can you use from what you have to be able to get what you want? Okay, So I would say that one of the first mistakes people make is that when they say, oh, I'm a project manager, they limit themselves first to project manager. They don't want anything outside being a project manager. And that is the number one mistake you can make when you come into the UK with no UK experience and think that, oh, well, I said I want a project manager job, so automatically I should get a project manager job. My approach or my advice would be to at least pick 20 roles that you are able to present yourself for, minimum. If you want to get a job in the UK and you want to get a job fast, don't restrict yourself and say, oh, well, I can only, if it's not an HR director role or if it's not a project manager role, it is a no deal. No, under project management, there are so many options because not all roles come with, there's what we call project support officers. You won't consider yourself to be a project support officer if you just restrict yourself to just project management. You won't consider yourself to be a finance specialist or a strategic finance manager because you just want to be a CFO. So at the end of the day, the first step is to identify. I will always say that looking for a job is a full-time job in itself, and those who take it seriously see results. So you have to, first of all, have an Excel sheet, pick 20 roles that you think that, well, I have what it takes. I have, some skills. I have some transferable skills that I think I can do very well in this area. That will be the starting point. So first, identify what you need in terms of the roles. So have 20 roles in front of you. And then the first step after identifying what you have is research. You need to research on these 20 roles. These 20 roles, you put the role, you put sample JDs. So you go on JDs at job description, you go online on Google, you will find the keywords, the key, lack of a better word, the key phrases that define those roles. You need to have those phrases in your CV. In the UK, many organizations are using ATS, which is application tracking systems. And that is how we decide who is suitable. We're not going to go through 400 or 300 CVs. No one does that. So if those phrases are not in your CV, there's no prayer and fasting, you will not be shortlisted. The bottom line is for you to be able to find yourself suitable for some of those roles, you need to have the right phrases in your CV, especially in a very competitive place like the UK. So you imagine that a lot of Nigerians are coming in. Guess what? A lot of Indians are also coming in. A lot of Pakistani are also coming in. A lot of Ghanaians are coming in. What would differentiate you from every one of them is your ability to be able to have the right words in your CV. First, that's the first level. So that's why I said, first you need to know what you want. Next is you need to do research about what you want. So for these 20 roles, have an Excel sheet, put the role, then put the next column, what are the key areas. If you are not sure, go on LinkedIn, put it on the search box, the job title. So if you say you're a sales professional, you put sales marketing manager in the UK, you look at the CV of a typical sales manager. What is standing out in that CV? They are talking about market intelligence, understanding competitors. Those are the things you will put on that your Excel sheet, because what you're going to do thereafter is to take some of those words and reward your CV to at least capture those phrases. Unfortunately, we recruiters don't spend a lot of time reviewing CVs line by line. That's the truth. We don't have the time. So if your CV is not coming up with key phrases, we won't even bother, because we want to be sure that you at least have those areas. And the areas where you see phrases and you're not sure, there's Google, there's YouTube, anything you're not sure of, go and Google it and understand what it means, so that in case you have an interview, you can, package yourself well to present it well. So at the end of the day, key phrases in the CV makes a huge difference in this market. So if you put your 20 roles, you put the key, so if you say you're a branding person now, and one of the key things is market research, you're doing analysis, competitors, branding, positioning, market share, all those wordings, you need to find how you inculcate them into your profile. Have different profiles for different roles. You can put those roles in different categories. So you can say, maybe out of my 20 roles, 10 of them are still core tech or core finance. Because again, in the UK, there's different nomenclature. So while somebody else, for example, what I was doing in Nigeria, I was working as a talent manager. I've worked as a recruitment director. Here is a recruitment partner. So if I was carrying recruitment director on my mind, I won't even put in application for those roles. So there are different ways they are put in the market here. That is the same job, but different titles. So those are the titles you will use to populate your 20 roles, right? So if you say, for example, let me look for someone who's, okay, you say you're a logistics coordinator. So logistics, transportation, all of them, sometimes you even have warehousing, all of them are within the same brackets. So don't limit yourself to just logistics. Don't limit yourself to just IT. Don't limit yourself. What else can you do? If you say you're a lawyer, for example, and maybe you haven't done your SQE and you cannot work as a lawyer, can you do compliance? Can you do company secretariat? Can you do contracts manager? What else can you do? Can you do paralegal? There has to be something else you can do. If you just limit yourself to one thing, you are just changing yourself. So like I said, first thing, identify what you can bring to the table, what value you can add, what gifts you have. Secondly, do your research. Find the key areas. And it's okay if your dream job you are not eligible for, but at least know the gap so that you can start to develop yourself for what you want. It's okay. You may not have everything you need day one, but have a plan that in 2 years, in 1 year, I should be able to have accomplished X, Y, Z so that I can get this dream role. But in the meantime, what can I do? Okay. So after you have identified those areas, the next step is for you to actually now start to work on your CV. So you have identified the areas that you have gaps. You have seen on LinkedIn what are the key areas, you have identified the gap, the places you don't know, you have gone on Udemy or Coursera or YouTube to quickly do 2 hours training just to bring yourself up to speed and then package yourself with the profile. Please, now you're going to work on your CV. Ensure that your CV is not more than 2 pages. It's okay to have multiple versions of your CV depending on the job or the category in which you are submitting your profile for. Keep it short. Depending on the level, try to reduce stories that touch or stories that would, shortchange you. For example, you're already putting at the head that I need sponsorship. I mean, you are shortchanging yourself because some organizations will be like, they don't even want to deal. So it's okay if you need sponsorship, but at least you have just come in. You came in with some rights to work, right? Get into the door and then progress from there. Don't come with all the family. I mean, you are not the only one looking for work. So try to limit stories that touch. I always advise remove location. If you have just moved in, you should be very flexible. In fact, if the job is in another town, you shouldn't have a problem going there because you left Nigeria for greener pasture. So don't put, oh, I'm only looking for a job only in London. I'm only looking for a job only in Kent. I'm only looking for, no, remove your location. Nobody cares about your location. When they call you, then you will know the location or you are applying without, restriction, right? It's very important that you don't put information that would reduce your chances of being suitable. After you have put the keywords, I would always advise people that a key trick we use in recruitment is the use of Control F. It's a very, very sweet tool. If you don't know how to use it, it's Control F, and we recruiters use it a lot. So let's say I'm looking for someone I'm looking for a finance professional, but one of the key things for this role is financial modeling. If I have 50 CVs, I may not want to read one by one. So I open it, I'll put Control F, I'll put financial modeling, I will see whether anything like that comes up in the CV. If there's nothing, guess what? I close it, I move to the next, because that's key for my clients. That's what my client is looking for. So if I'm looking for a tech role and the ability for a person to use SQL is important, I put Control F, I put SQL, I don't see it, I close it, I move on. That's it. That's the reality of the work. So at the end of the day, ensure you are putting the right information. There's no point having 4 pages or 6 pages that is actually saying nothing, right? And don't expect the recruiter to to imagine what role you'll be suitable for. It's your job to already think of the role and fine-tune the CV to match the role so that when I'm looking and say, perfect, this person, it's a checkbox exercise for we recruiters. When we're looking through, there are some things we want to see. So every time before we open a CV, we read the JD. So we prepare ourselves and put ourselves in the mind frame of the hiring manager. We look through the CV. We want to be able to see, oh, okay, these things are matching. These things are matching. Fantastic. This person is shortlisted for the next step, right? So I would also say it's not advisable for you to say minimum salary, put it in your CV. It's very, 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 very wrong. Because again, UK is not like Nigeria where salary details are hidden. Most of the roles, the salary is there. So if it's not good for you, don't apply. Don't then apply for a role that you have seen that is 25,000. You now put in the CV, minimum 45,000. Come on. You knew that it was 25,000 before you applied. So if the role is not good for you, don't bother. But if you are interested in, and again, my target audience are those who are new in the market and are trying to get a foot in the door. In the UK, what they prioritize above everything else, including education, is UK experience. They ask for that UK experience like no man's business. So the only way to get the UK experience is to first get in. It is not to make the plenty decisions to make yourself unsuitable for the job unknowingly. Okay. Excuse me. Then the fourth stage is apply, apply, apply. Apply, apply, apply for me. Another mistake that people make is that they apply to, they send CVs a couple a week, two, and they say, when I'm really searching. The expectation in this market is 100 applications per day. 100 applications per day. In fact, the trick is that when you check on your Google, and you see all the responses for the application you have done that day. If you haven't moved to the second page, as in, it's not yet the second page, you haven't finished the application, you are not the only one. You're not, you are not running a monopoly. You are trying to get into a market that is already saturated. So if you are not putting the applications in, you are shortchanging yourself. 100 applications a day is the minimum. And someone will say, where will I see this? I will tell you where to see it, because the reality is the moment you restrict yourself by one position, you have already removed so many options. By the time you now restrict yourself to only one site or two sites, you have also restricted yourself. So I will give you 20 sites, and I can drop it in the chat box where you would see roles that you can apply for. There are some that, of course, will take you a couple of hours. That's why I said looking for a job is a full-time job. There are some applications. In fact, the most interesting applications to make are the ones that take time. The one that you just say one-click apply, chances of success are very low. The one where you took your time to think about it, and they are asking you questions, checking your emotional intelligence. I was seeing how you reason, and I'm looking at culture fit. Those are the ones, because the truth of the matter is the process has already removed those who are lazy. Those who are lazy will never finish that process. So they have shortchanged. But you see that one-click apply, you are like 50,000 that have already clicked one-click apply. So what makes you stand out? So you have to be able to do the work. And that's the point. Finding a job in the UK takes doing the work. So I will start by putting the 20 roles in the chat room, 20 sites where you can literally send CVs to, and all of them have different. Sorry, please, can you use your mic, please? Thank you. Yes. Is it not going? Okay. So I'm trying to send it. So let's see if it will go, because it's quite a long list. I'm not seeing to send.
If it doesn't go, you can send it to either myself or Peter. We can post it out to people.
Okay, so I would, I've sent it. So you can see on there, there's Indeed, there's Total Jobs, there's CV Library, there's LinkedIn. All of these are the usual, but you guess what? There's the civil service jobs that has all civil service. From MOD to DEFRA to Home Office, to all the civil service jobs are posted on a particular site, and very few people are going there. NHS in itself, again, if you are new to the UK and you are not aware that NHS is having a serious challenge in terms of meeting their needs, manpower needs, then that's still gist. But the process takes time. So, the more you apply on those sites, the more you already have ready-made answers for most of them, and it becomes easier. So you move from, one application taking 1 hour to one application taking 10 minutes because you have saved your last application, right? And let me also put it that many of these jobs, especially civil service, especially NHS, they give sponsorship. In fact, at the beginning of the application, they tell you to disclose to them whether you will require sponsorship. So if you require sponsorship, I would say concentrate on those ones that at least, and you can also set alerts on Indeed and LinkedIn and the rest of them to give you notification once there are any jobs that have sponsorship available. So these 20 jobs, these 20 sites are available for you to be able to go and check. You check, but don't be restrictive in your search. Be open, see some jobs. In fact, what I used to do before is to open it and read it. And the question is, can I do this job? I've looked at it. This doesn't look at I'm going to apply. Can I do this job? It shouldn't be, I can't do this, I can't do this. Don't be as selective as if you have. I mean, there's a part where you start to be selective. When you have gotten the first job, you are doing something and you are already, doing a role that you are interested in. Then you can say, well, is it worth me leaving or not? But when you haven't gotten, just get your foot in the door. Okay? So 100 applications a day. Please do not be discouraged. The rejections are part of the process. In fact, I always tell people that for every 100 you send out, I mean, again, this is not to take the grace of God and favor and all of that into cognizance. I mean, there are some people that I know that only sent 20, only sent 5, and they got it. And some people, they have to do the work. So I would say the success rate for 100 is actually, you will get for 100, you will get 10 feedback. This 10 feedback is not interview. It's 10 feedback of, can you send us your right to work? Or can you, I mean, there will be some level of feedback to say, sorry, this role has now been filled. I mean, not auto response, real response. You will get at least 100. The 100 is not placement. It's not that you have been called and you are going to be placed, but you will get some level of feedback. And the goal is that in that 100, you will at least have one interview. So the question is, you need to send 500 to get 5 interviews. Now, if you have that at the back of your mind and you haven't sent up to 100 and you are saying that you haven't really gotten a job, it's because you have not put in the work. Okay? So now, after you have done that, remember now, we are now moving to step 5. I'll recount the steps again because I'm conscious of time. First step is that you need to know what you're bringing to the table. It starts with you. What value do you have? Second step is you need to research 20 jobs, possible jobs you could do, and what are the variations in those jobs, and how do you fine-tune your profile to be able to match them. There's no skill that was not learned. So whatever the gap is, I'm sure if you put out the time, you will be able to cover it. Thirdly is you need to update your CV, have multiple versions, ensure you're using the right word based on those 20 roles that you have identified. Use your Control F very well. Prioritize, quality over quantity. Don't just do 4 pages. Do 2 pages that make sense. Also, once you have updated the CV, apply. Last stage is you need to be prepared. Once you have done the work of sending 100 CV, I always tell people that block a week or block 3 days, concentrate and sit and get the job done, and you will see the result. Be prepared to receive phone calls. Be aware that you will have, because you have done tons of CVs out, sometimes you have lost track of what CV you have sent out. It's okay to say, this is not a good time. Can we schedule a time to have a call? Please reconfirm your name and then go back and quickly prepare yourself for the interview. It is better to reschedule than to be ill-prepared and, not well put together for an interview. You will have people who just call you out of the blue to say, hello, I received your CV. I wanted to quickly have a chat. Oh, that's fantastic. Unfortunately, it's not a good time. Can we schedule 4 p.m. today? Or can we speak in the next, I'm not in the right place to speak. Can we speak in the next 2 hours or 1 hour? Then what you need to do after you have scheduled the time, or you have an interview, or you have an opportunity to speak to the hiring manager, the mistake you can make is to be ill-prepared because you have put in a lot of work. Make it count. Right? So what you need to do is that go and read the JD again. Go and read your CV. Remember, you packaged your CV for this role. So go and read that CV that you sent to be sure that when they ask you questions line by line, you understand what you have sent to them. Ensure that you know what you have sent. Because again, there's nothing as you said this and you say, I said so. That's not a good look. So read the JD, read your CV again, and ensure that you have a match in your mind of your CV versus the JD and where they align. So that when they're asking you questions, tell me about yourself, tell me about the value you have done, you have brought in your previous job, tell me about your previous role. You are already talking about that marriage between your CV and the JD and saying, oh yes, in my previous role. So the examples you are bringing are the ones that relate to the job. And you see the hiring manager just nodding their heads because that's what they want to hear. So have practical experience on your hand. I mean, have it ready. Prepare yourself and say, okay, if they ask me, how did I deal with difficult colleagues? If you say you're a manager, the assumption is that you have dealt with difficult, maybe at some point in your career, you have dealt with difficult subordinates. How have you managed that? You need to have that on your hand. I always tell people, dress well. I mean, it's very, very funny. You have gone through effort, then it's time to do the interview. You didn't even make any effort. No one is saying that that's going to be a determinant, but sometimes it's not about how well you did in the interview. Candidates think it's about how well. Sometimes it's about how well the other participants did. If you are 4 of you and all of you did well, it's about whether this person did better than that other person. It's about the other participants sometimes. So you have to bring your A game so that if they two are bringing their A game, it will not be a minor variation. It will be just, well, I like the way because this person looked like he put some thoughts into the interview, he made the effort, he looked sharp. It will be just tiny things because if everybody did well, it's just small variations that then matter. Right? I would say that sometimes, again, this is my own experience, I would say sometimes putting your picture on your profile makes a difference. Not in all organizations, but especially now that organizations are being sensitive to their stats as it relates to Black and minority groups. I mean, they want to increase their stats. They want to have Blacks in senior level positions and in all of that. They want to bring in more people into the system. When you change your name from Adedayo and you now put Johnson or you put another name, no one will know that you are an African. That's the truth. Sometimes it makes a difference. I can tell you that in my own career, it has made a difference because at the end of the day, you're a woman, you're an African. I mean, if someone else didn't do as well, it's no brainer. This person is going to increase our stats on having, a Black person in this position. So we need to take advantage of all the things that will give us advantage. So there's no need to deny your heritage. You are Black and African, be very proud and say, yeah. And this is what I can use. So for example, as a recruiter, I always tell them I'm happy to bring, Nigerians are very hardworking people who are ready to, I have a network, I mean, over 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. I'm sure I can help with recruiting. Sell what you have. You have to have something to sell it, okay? So I would say be flexible. You are looking for a foot in the door. That's not the time to be, I mean, if you cannot pay this, and I try to advise candidates, never use the word, I will never settle for anything less than, it's an African statement. I will never settle for, see the package first, see the opportunity, see the full picture before you make the decision. And like I said, you are not a tree. If you take the job, is a bed in hand. You have that one, you use it to negotiate for the next one. It's not a marriage. There's nothing that stops you from moving on. Because what happens most times is that when you have put a lot of effort in this job search, even when you have gotten a job, you may still be getting phone calls for CVs that you have already sent previously. It doesn't stop you from also going there and saying, yes, I want to have a chat and I want to see whether there's an opportunity here, whether it's going to be interesting for me or whether it's in line with the career that I want to have. So I would say once you get the job, once you get the foot in the job in the door, please show them you have the capacity to do more. Show them that you are ready, because again, it's a UK thing for everybody to just do the minimum. Show that you have the ability to do much, especially when you require sponsorship or you require the organization to do something more than the regular for you. Show that you have the ability to do more. Don't restrict yourself to just one position. Be willing to take on more responsibility, because what you are doing is that you are also building your profile. The day you go to another interview, you are going to be talking about the job you did by the side, more than the job you did on your, because you never know what the future organization will be interested in. So you are trying to gather UK experience. Don't restrict yourself to just what they are paying you to do. You are trying to gather as much, because you see, the more you can gather, the more you can translate it into your CV, the more you can sell it in an interview. Okay? I would say common mistakes in conclusion, common mistakes that, Nigerians make in general, restricting themselves to one position, doing zero to little research, not having the keywords in their CV, just searching on one or two sites, not putting the necessary information or just putting unnecessary information in the CV, sending few CVs over a period of time, not being prepared for the interviews, and not being open and flexible. I would also say in conclusion, and this is my final statement, care is not the only job available in the UK. Thank you all so much for your time.
And we just, if you either use an emoji or something, just give and you just say thank you or clap or something. That was wonderful. I was even taking notes. Like, okay, that's enough. And those websites also very, very good place to go to. Definitely, I will be stealing some of those ideas to myself. So thank you very much. Thank you, Kwayemi. Thank you very much. Yeah. Peter, are we taking questions now? We'll move on to the next speaker. What's the plan? Just asking.
Yeah, so we'll take it during the question and answer session.
Okay, so don't rush away, Kwayemi, please, so that there'll be lots of questions, I'm sure you know, and there'll be lots of people that want to reach out to you to see if they can directly hook and put some straw to suck some juice. So don't run away, please. Yeah. Okay. Second speaker is going to be Adetola, who also has been in the UK for quite some time. She currently works in the NHS, NHS Digital. She's a mother and a wife, and she's got lots of nuggets to throw down. So please, let's listen to her for the next few minutes, and then we'll keep going. Just if you have any questions, you can still drop them in the chat box, or you just wait till when all the speakers have gone around. So yes, Adetola, over to you.
Thank you very much, Adedayo. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me here. And thank you, Kwayemi, for such a wonderful presentation on the thing that matters to us the most. The reason why we all left where we're coming from is to make a better life here in the UK. Opportunities abound. I have been here for 10 years. And I have never done a care job. So I agree that care is not the only job. There are opportunities in the land for any and everything you want to do. There are some caveats I was typing to Adedayo as you were making your presentation about, the dynamics of the workplace, where you find yourself and things like that. I always say to people, especially people that are new here, two things. Let us be coming down. All right, let's just be coming down. Learn the ropes, integrate into the society, and you are hammering on it, be flexible. Flexibility is so key, but it's also important that we have a plan and we work at our plan. The land is truly green if you can put in the work. She said so much about it, so there is no point in me belaboring the fact. I think I want to take a different tangent on the practicalities of moving to a new country, especially for most of us that come into this country as adults. So you probably lived in Nigeria all your life, or maybe you've even had some international experience. Maybe you probably did your BSc or first degree elsewhere, but this is the first time you are migrating to a different country to make a living and a life. Some of us have come with our families, some of us have come as single people. And the dynamics are different. I mean, depending on where you belong to in life and the stage of life you are in, of course, you wouldn't imagine. If you're coming in as a single person, I apologize if I speak some Yoruba because it's just one language that has glued to me. I call the people that come with families, you have your concerns, you have your dependents, and so your choices are kind of more limited in terms of that single person that can come and go and sleep under somebody's bed for a month and things like that. So those are the kind of practicalities I want to bring on the table this afternoon. I'm hoping to share some of my own experience in all that I've been through here in this country, depending on the route you came in, through and all that. I'm coming again on the premise of the fact that, yes, everybody's here already, so welcome. We said that at the beginning, and then you know your visa status, you know what you can and cannot do, because those things will catch up with you. Knowing where you are, who you are, and where you stand on the side of the law is so important. That's one place where we Nigerians fall down a lot. When I say Nigerians, those are the class of people I know the most. because most of the time we do not have the information that we should have. We just go by they said, that kind of thing. We do not get this information ourselves. So we sometimes do not avail ourselves of some things that we should know that we could benefit from. So I'm going on the premise of the fact that we are here, we understand what it means to live in the United Kingdom, you understand the transport system, you know what your council is and all that. So wherever you are, whoever you are, you probably came on a work visa, or you came as a student, or you're somebody's dependent, or what it is that you need a means of income to be able to live in this country, because this country is an expensive place. That is the reality. Whether you are changing to Naira or you are earning the pound, it is an expensive country. You need a source of income that can sustain you while you are here. Whether you are on a sustainable job, or you are in between jobs, or you're a student, you need to have that. You also need to have a plan in terms of, how long am I here for? How long is my visa? When is it due to be renewed? How much will it cost me? What can I do between then and now? What am I doing today? What schools will my children go to? Where am I going to live? All of those kind of things are very, very important questions and conversations that you need to have, especially if you come as a family. I've come to understand that Africans, Nigerians, couples don't have some kind of conversations, especially around money. We assume that things will fall in place, or we bury our head in the sand like ostriches. And the UK has a way of punishing us when we do these kind of things. Having a plan and understanding where we are and what we can do right now, where we are. I like what she said, what's in your hand, what can you do right now? And we're a starting point while we walk towards where we want to be. I want to talk majorly of families, people that have children that have come to the UK that are new. It's important that the welfare of your children is well considered from the beginning. The UK is a good place and there are a lot of opportunities. But then again, you need to be very careful because it's a very permissive society. And the ills of this society are worse than the good of the society. It's better that you are never caught on the other side of the hills. And to prevent things like this, where you live matters a lot. I'm not talking about you living in a flat or in a house. I'm talking about the locality, the environment where you live, where you can thrive. So even if it takes a bit more inconvenience for you to get to that place, is worth the wait, because things like access to amenities that are good for children is highly dependent on where you live. So in terms of schools, which is, of course, we're all Africans now, we all like education. Schools are so important, especially if you want your children to go to public schools. They say it a lot, public schools are good, they're whole Church of England, Once you get in here, you see that there's a difference, massive one, depending on where you live. So please bear that in mind as you make your plans. Not like, let's just do this for now, or the Ofsted rating here is that. We'll talk about Ofsted in a bit. You probably want to do a bit more research. This society is driven by information. Sadly, that information is not open everywhere. Most of the time, in my own experience, I got burnt before I learned my lesson. All right. So a bit more research, not just the Excel spreadsheet for looking for a job, a bit more research about those things that would make a more lasting impact on your life in the UK more than a job is very, very essential. GP registration. It is important that you register your family with the GP. Africans, we are very, very funny people. We like to live with pain and sickness, and it's okay. We'll be drinking anointing oil and eating Holy Communion. Please ensure that you are registered with the GP. So many deaths can be prevented if we do the right thing. The people that put these structures in place, they are not mad. It's because they know that they are good for the people. Now, the kind of GP and access that you have again, all of these things have to do with the location as well. So please carefully look anywhere in the UK. You can live anywhere, and I say it a lot as well, that it's a developed country. So even the villages, I live in a village. Even the villages are probably sometimes nicer than the cities because of, it's greener, it's cleaner and all of that. So do your research, understand what you want to do, look after the well-being of your people. Schools, so back to what I was saying about schools. The Department of Education is responsible for all schools from nurseries or zero, whatever they are, all the way to the university. But then for the lower ones, especially for those of us that, our families are young, Ofsted is the governing body that oversees all their affairs. And it's beautiful to know that even those that start from the daycares or the creches or the nurseries, all the way to senior secondary school, are rated by Ofsted. This is quite comforting. Now, if you're coming into the UK and you have a family and you don't have any kind of structure around you that can help you with childcare is a reality. You would have found that out. And children grow, but they don't grow fast. They grow yearly. So you can't jump the hoop. You will go through those phases. In the UK, you cannot leave minors at home. Never. Ever. I will say it again. Please, you cannot leave minors at home. A minor is any child under the age of 12. If you have Bedford children like my own children, they are thick like their mother, you might get away with a bit of leeway. But please, the hassle is not something you ever want to go through. In the UK, you cannot smack children in public, no matter the offense. Please, let us be calming down. I said it earlier. Let us be calming down. In the UK, you cannot shout anyhow at children. It is intimidation. You can be relieved of your children. These were not things I ever planned on saying. They just came to my mind now. And I know people who have lost their children to the government because of these reactions. Things for us to bear in mind. All right? So, Ofsted is the governing body or the overseeing body for all schools, and they rate these schools according to their performance. I do not agree with Ofsted a lot on some of their points. Another good thing about the UK is that the information is available, so you can read up about these things. Anywhere you live, whatever council you belong to, you can go on the council website. The council website is your friend. Every information that you need about where you live is on the council website, every single one of them. Please familiarize with that, with the website of the council. It has a list of all the schools, it has their rating, it has all the information, after school clubs, everything, registered child minors and all that, everything like that is present on the council website. Please avail yourself of this information. It would be very, very useful. Okay, so now, if you have very, very little children, this is where I had a lot of struggle. If you have very, very little children, there are provisions, all right, registered provisions where you can take your children to. They are legal, they are regulated, and I keep talking about the regulated ones. I know that there are many that are not regulated, but then again, if anything happens in those settings as well, it's a lot of kind of worms that you don't want to get involved with. So when you have children from 0 to, let's start from if you come and you are very new and you probably have an under 2, okay? Pregnant women in the United Kingdom have access to 252 weeks of maternity leave. If you're working, you're entitled to 39 weeks of statutory pay. When I came and I heard, I was very, very happy. Because in Nigeria, where I'm coming from, it was only 12 weeks. And that, it felt like a long time. But the reality is, those 252 weeks, yes, it gives you time to look after your newborn, but you're not making money. All right? So that's another thing to factor into your plans and weigh it up. Paternity leave is also available and you can split it with your partner. Some organizations are very generous. They will give about 15 weeks for paternity pay leave. That will reduce your partner's, your wife's maternity by those number of weeks, and you can swap it between yourselves. But statutorily, there's 2 weeks paternity leave for your dad. And during that time, you are looking after your child. But if you have to go out to work and there is no grandma from Nigeria that you can bring, and you live in an environment where you don't know anybody, you need to make plans on how your child will be looked after. The freest form of childcare is for you to do all of these ones that I talked about, buying tickets for people to come from home, keeping them for 6 months. 1 month grandma comes, the other one goes. You do that for, and you carry it on to do that kind of investment. It sounds expensive, but it's the cheapest that I know of. If you need to take them out, there are registered places you can take them to. You can take them to, you can get a nanny. A nanny comes and lives with you, and not just only looks after the child, ensures that the child goes to bed, does some petty housework for you and all that, but it costs you money, and sometimes you have to provide accommodation for them. You can get an au pair. An au pair is not really a nanny. Sorry, the other thing about nannies I did not say is that you are considered their employer, and you are expected to remit their national insurance contributions as well as their taxes. If any of these things I am saying does not make sense, because I'm assuming that you know what some of these things are. So things like offset, things like national NI, things like taxes. If you need me to expound on them, I can. All right, so for nannies, you're expected to do that. For the au pair, the advantage is that they are like young people, usually girls. I've never met a boy au pair before, that are like students who have taken like a year out of school to go and learn the language. They're usually from European countries, so from Portugal, from places like that. They want to take a year experience or more to learn the language or the culture of a different country within the European Union. They are cheaper, but you provide them with accommodation, and you're supposed to put them in what do you call it, in language classes. They don't need to pay tax or insurance, but you provide accommodation for them, and they can only work 30 hours a week. So it means that you can have an au pair in your house, who on Friday night will go to the pub. There's nothing you can do about it. It is within our legal rights. So those are the living carers. Those are the ones that come to live with you. Then you have the crèches, you have the nurseries, you have the play groups, all different ones. They are available in the UK. Read up about them, decide the one you want to do. Once a child turns between 3 and 4, your children are eligible for 15 hours free childcare. 15 hours, okay? Now, if you want to make it up, to make it longer, and you do not have recourse to public funds, you have to make up the balance. If you speak with the nursery, they will tell you how much it costs you, and then you pay so that your children can stay for longer, and then you might probably be able to work longer. Once they turn 5, that is when they get into reception. Then, if you're a working family, your children are eligible for 30 hours free childcare in the United Kingdom. I think something like that was introduced about 5 or 7 years ago, I don't know now. And then the journey begins. So if they're in a public state-funded school, your woes are over in terms of childcare for the 9 to 3. But then you have to consider, what do they do before 9? Because most places we will resume work at 9 and finish at 5. So what do you do between those hours of 8 or 7 and after they finish school? And this is where the after-school clubs come in as well. Breakfast clubs and the after-school clubs. Now, this is another difficult bend to maneuver, because it could be, like in my own case, the school that you really like and that is good, suits your belief, works within your location and your home environment and all that. It does not have any of these clubs. What do you do? If breakfast and after school club means a lot to you, please ensure that you have that, you consider that when you're looking for schools for your children. If it doesn't, then you have more options. There are also private schools that you can enroll your children for. They are scattered all over the place in the United Kingdom. I would put a link in the chat, a very, very good document that helps you break down an average of what these things cost you. All right, and then you can add it to your plans as you progress. I want you to know that this might not be information you might need today, because you are probably new, and you know everything that comes in at the moment is going towards a certain course, but you're not going to be new forever. In a couple of months, you'll be fully settled, you would have progressed, you probably have that job you want, and you will need this information. So keep it for now till then. Please do not forget the things I said about the social services. The United Kingdom do not keep minors in a hot car. You can't even keep pets in a hot car. So hot to us, Nigeria is normal weather. To them, they are burning. Please don't do it. Please do not keep minors at home, no matter how legit your excuse is. Don't shout or smack children in public. Please do not. Even your neighbors are watching you and they can report you. The postman is watching you and he can report you. I hope that's been helpful. Thank you.
Wow. Please just just help me with that. That's wonderful. You know, things I've heard before that I'm hearing, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's true. That's so we'll be waiting for the link in the chat for those. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Please, around, just show some emojis of clapping and things just to appreciate our sister. Thank you very much. Let's move on quickly. Our next speaker, we'll come to questions and answer very soon. Our next speaker is Henry Olamiju, and I'm going to do a quick, he is a perfect gentleman. I'm sure you can. I know I'm doing that to you because he's a very, very. You can see, he's got lots of interest in things, and I know he does take good photographs. So and he's a consummate professional. How do I mean? He's a trained medical doctor, trained from the University of Lagos, and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management. He worked in Nigeria in various sectors before moving to the United Kingdom, where he's a medical registrar in the NHS. He joined TCN in 2005 and joined so many groups. However, today he's a resident pastor of TCN Central London. Opened on he opened recently, August 17th or 18th. I'm not sure now, but I know he opened recently. So he's a resident pastor. And while he's not busy doing medical work, he is, or pastoring, he writes poems, short stories, he solves puzzles, and as I said, photography, and does paint. Wow, he's married with 3 children. So the floor is opened. H.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you, Adida. Thank you for inviting me to speak here. I mean, the thing is, Aditola is a tough act to follow. She is a tough act. I mean, I wish I came in a lot earlier so that I know because I've crossed off all the things that I want to say now. There's nothing for me to say anymore. She has finished it. This one. Yeah, I don't have anything to say anymore. Anyway, so I think I came in a bit late, so I'll just talk about the things that I don't know if she said. Anyways, all right. So for every one of you, welcome to the UK. I mean, some of us are still settling down, even though we've been here for 3 years. But it takes a gradual process. So the point is, do not expect that within a couple of weeks and months you will be totally vast and settled entirely in what living in the UK is about. But what you can know is that, if you follow some of the things that people have said here and the things I will say, it kind of gives you a platform and a template upon which to build your life, all right? Because that's really the essence. The essence is just having a template. And because everyone is going to have a different experience from each other, we live in different places, we have different backgrounds and the viewpoints, and the ways we've come in are different. Some people have come for school, some people have followed husband or wife, some people have come to work, in different ways. So what's important basically is just getting a template that you're going to work with, all right? They're going to work with for the next couple of years, for as long as you're going to be here. And so I, as a medical doctor, will just start from the things that are related to health, all right? Then I'll talk about a few other things that, one thing I wanted to, I'm sure you already know this, is that healthcare in the UK is free. And by free, that means that you have the NHS, which is responsible for National Health Service, which is responsible for, healthcare in all its various dimensions within the United Kingdom. And so access to healthcare is free. But not everything within the UK is free in terms of health. So if you get a prescription, all right, to buy something, if you can get to see the doctor. If you're admitted in the hospital, or if while you're in the hospital, they require you to get a medication, a tablet, and an antibiotic, everything will be free, all right? But once you get a prescription to buy something, all right, that is not free. And for every item that they ask you to buy, you're going to pay a fee of £9.30. I think it's £9.30. I think it's changed now. So what that means is that for every item, irrespective of how expensive that item normally is or how cheap that the item normally is, if you get a prescription, that prescription, yeah, it is free in Wales, yes. And now I think in Scotland as well, there's some about in Scotland, yeah, it's free in Scotland. But in England, if you're in England, you pay for your prescription and it is £9. Now, which means that they might give you a prescription for something that is £3. All right. Whereas that thing is £3 in the shops, you're going to pay £9 if you buy it, from the NHS. So that's important that for you to just know as far as prescription is concerned. So if you have any medical issue, and one of the things that I'm going to say this very carefully is that, for example, if you have a medical issue, if you have a reason to see a doctor, the first point of call is to speak to your GP. All right. Now, which means that as you come in, the GP is a general practitioner. They've studied as medical doctors, and they've done a 3-year program to become, a specialist as general practitioners. And so usually you are expected to have a GP register. So once you come in and you have your BRP, what you need to do is go on to your, you can go to gov.uk, find out, you can just even Google what your postcode is and look for the GPs within your postcode. Now, GPs are registered based on postcode. You can't go and choose another GP that is away from your postcode. You have to find a GP that is within your postcode, and the one that is actually closest to you. Because if you have a postcode that has so many houses like they did in London, they divided them so that even within one postcode, there were 3 GPs and one GP will not take for a certain aspect of that postcode. So you need to find out who your GP is supposed to be. All right. If you have 2 and you are allowed, GP means general practitioner. That is the doctor who is going to be in charge of your health in that sense. So there are 2 categories of healthcare available. There is the first level, which is a primary healthcare. Primary healthcare is your general practitioner, right? If you are feeling unwell, you have a bit of cough, you have diarrhea that's not going, or you are feeling a bit unwell, and you're not sick enough to go to the hospital, you speak to your GP. Most times, because of the pandemic, now GPs are not readily available. You can't just walk into them. So sometimes what they ask you to do is to send them a message on their website. So which means you have to register with a GP. And that's the first thing. So you Google your postcode and say GP surgeries in my area. GP surgeries in my area, look at them. You can now go to each of them. Especially what you can do is that you can go see how Google has rated them, because in the UK, a lot of people are rated for whatever it is. So they are rated. You can go to the one that you see this one is 2.8 and read the reviews. You can go to another one, is 5.4. I mean, this maximum is 5, 4.8, and you read the reviews. And when you read the reviews, think about it. If you have 20 people who have reviewed one and it is 5/5, right? And you have 4,000 people have reviewed another and it is 4.5, you should choose the 4.5, because the amount of people that have reviewed it gives you a better idea of, if it's just 20 people, it's probably their friends and family and neighbors who like them, who have reviewed them. So it's important you also know that. That's the first thing. So register with your GP, all right? That's the first point of call. If you have a minor illness, speak to your GP, all right? But if you are having difficulty getting to your GP, if you have a difficulty reaching your GP, because that's where the problem is with the pandemic, you can call a hotline number, which is a healthcare hotline, and it is 111. All right, you can call from any phone, 111. They will give you advice about what your complaint is, and then they can help you sort it out. If it requires you going to a hospital, they can tell you. If it requires you going to a GP, they can tell you. If it requires you doing some homemade things, they can tell you that as well. The problem with that right now is that because the GPs are not as available as they used to be, that line has become clogged up a bit more. And you sometimes wait sometimes you can be lucky, you can get in 15 minutes. Sometimes I've waited 40 minutes to get to speak to someone on the 111. But if you have an illness or a situation that looks life-threatening as an emergency, you should not go to your GP. All right, you should not call the 111. If it is life-threatening, and life-threatening means that for somebody, and this is probably not for you, but it's something that you should just know. Severe chest pain, severe abdominal pain, or someone who is pregnant, who feels like you're imminent labor and you don't have a car, or somebody you think is having a stroke, the number for emergency is 999. Now that calls out goes to the police, the fire service, and the healthcare ambulance. All right. And they're going to call you back even if you cut the phone. They will call you back to say, what is the problem? Are you sure things are fine? If it is healthcare, they can send an ambulance to you directly if they think that it's a major problem. All right. Or in the meantime, they can tell you what to do. I hope that is clear. So first thing, register with your GP. Find your postcode, look for GPs around the area, register. If you have a minor issue, speak to your GP. If not, call 111. And if it's an emergency, all right, something that is really, really bad happening, a child that swallows something and is unable to breathe, or something is really happening, you call 999 immediately. Okay, so that's the first thing. So register with your GP and that emergencies. Now, the next thing I'm going to speak about will be generally taking care of your health, things that matter to you as a person. Now, the first aspect will be diet. All right, your diet will be different because you might not live in an area where you have an African store, and that's the thing. Almost every area has some kind of an African store. It's actually not an African store. Mostly it's an Asian, Afro-Caribbean Asian store. All right, where they sell, things that mostly Asians have. But it's possible that if you live, especially in London, you might be able to get, African things, things we eat back home. But most importantly, your diet might be a bit different because you might not find these things very readily available. Or even if you find them, they might be expensive because of travel from one place to bring it to you. So which means that you have to think about your diet. You have to think about what you're going to eat and how you. So as someone who is, I'm going to tell you to stick to your Nigerian foods as much as possible. I would say that explore. It's a different country, explore their foods, explore things, but be very careful about stuff. Now, the reason I'm saying this is it impacts on your health because when you don't get the kind of foods you want to get, and you have to now be saddled with potatoes that you probably never ate when you were in Nigeria. The only potato you knew was sweet potato. And so you have come here and it is baked potato, jacket potatoes everywhere, potato chips, and you're like, am I going to? So what that might drive you to is eating fast foods. And that impacts on your health, all right? It will be chips and chicken and chips. It will be McDonald's. And of course, I know people who have not come here. And it's not funny, but that's the truth. People who come here, everybody wants to go to McDonald's first. Like, let me get a McDonald's. Then I know that I've entered the UK, all right? Yeah, that is fine, but you need to watch for those things. There are sometimes that you ate McDonald's for 1 month. Fine, good for you. So you need to watch out for those. And sometimes their chips can be very salty. Or I've found out with KFC, particularly the chickens can be quite salty, and you want to watch out for the amount of salt that they have. And this is not the same everywhere. Generally, I find that their foods are a bit tasteless. But when it comes to certain things, sometimes the chips, I've got KFC particularly is a chicken, I find that a bit salty. So you need to watch out for amount of salt that you consume when you come here. The other thing about your health when it comes to general well-being is, so watch out for that, what you eat, how you get your food, how the food is processed. You have to think about that, how many calories those things contain, because we're not used to, this calorie thing and how much of it is back home. You need to watch out for what is used. For example, my wife would not buy anything in the house that is what they call no added sugar, because no added sugar means that they've added aspartame, and the aspartame are artificial sweeteners, which people are a bit worried about. So watch out for what you buy. It's not everything that you can just pick up and because they're very, there's a lot of regulation around the country. They are regulated not for whether they are poisonous. They are only regulated that they're not poisonous. They are not regulated for them doing what they said they will do. All right. So if it is no added sugar, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have aspartame or artificial sweeteners. And those also have their own health consequences. So watch what you eat. Be choosy, choose what you eat, be adventurous as well, try other things, but know that, it's a different country and you watch out for your health. The other thing is exercise. You have come to a country where they ensure that every pothole is filled. They try to ensure that every pothole is filled, which means that because it's a national health service, and the National Health Service pays for everyone who has an injury. So they're trying to make sure that when the walkways are smooth so that people who ride bicycles and elderly people who use canes and who use their strollers will not fall, because if they fall and break their leg, it will be 30 days in hospital, which the NSS has to pay for. So because of that, they ensure that things are available. They make sure that there are parks available. There are, gyms around you. There are parks for you to do, even if you don't want to go to a regular gym. Some parks have gym things and you can go there. This is an opportunity. This country is an opportunity for you to do the things that you have not done back home in Nigeria, which also includes you choosing new hobbies. All right, new hobbies. You were back home in Nigeria, you did not have time. It was too busy. 2 hours to Ikoyi, 4 hours back home. You get home at 10 o'clock. You are tired. The children cannot tell you anything. In this country, you finish at 5 o'clock. You might get home at 5:30. Depends on where you live. And from 5:30 all the way till and it might be dark at 10 o'clock. So which means that you've got loads of time, and this is time for you to engage in new hobbies that are good for you. Pick up exercises, do new things, pick up football. I play football at 9 p.m. All right, in fact 10 p.m. Sometimes when I was in Kingston, so I used to play 10 p.m. So just choose new hobbies. These things will help you. Choose exercises. You can run on the streets. You see people running. I rarely find a lot of Black people within my environment who do these runs, but it's important that you do that for yourself. Let me come to things that are maternity, and so as a pregnant woman, you will have access to free prescriptions for a year and a half after delivery. For a year after delivery, yeah, up to a year and a half after delivery. All right. So as far as healthcare is concerned, delivery is free and all of that. Whatever surgeries that you have to do is free. But you will get your prescription free. So remember, write those things down. When they give you a prescription certificate, make sure that you are able to show it whenever you get any prescription. You'll get maternity leave. Maternity leave is up to 12 months. It's not all of that is paid. And as a husband, you can get paternity leave, 2 weeks statutorily, which you are going to be paid for. Everything outside of that will not be paid, but then that's okay as well. The other thing I should say, so as far as health is concerned, those are the major things I want to share with you very quickly. And I'll run through a few things that I feel that is important, generally speaking, life in the UK, because it's entirely about, you being able to integrate yourself within the UK. One very important thing apart from your health is your finance. Right. And I know that Adetola will have said a lot of things about finances for you. But the one thing I want to say is that, and I want to re-emphasize this, which she must have said, is everything here runs on credit. Now, I don't ask you to go and start buying everything on credit. I still am I'm a bit reluctant to do things on credit. However, all right, so let me talk about dental appointment. Dental appointment is a different ballgame entirely. Dental check is not free. Dental check is not free, especially as an adult. You will have to pay. You have to register with a dentist. I have not been able to get a dentist to register with a dentist in the last 3 years because of the pandemic initially, and there was a waiting list. But as a child, if you have an emergency, dental emergency, you speak to 111. They'll give you a code, all right, to attend a dental hospital, a dentist, to see a dentist, and the treatment is going to be free. Let me say that again. If a child has a dental emergency, a lot of pain, toothache, broken tooth, things like that, you call 111 any day, anytime. They will give you a code to speak to a dentist, and then you can go there and they can attend to you. For eye checks, you can get free eye checks, not with the NHS, but if you do, so there is Specsavers, there's Opti, something, whatever it is, they'll give you eye checks for free if you are going to buy glasses after. But for a child, all right, ages 0 to 13, I believe, eye check is free. Prescription glasses, if you have to be prescribed glasses, it is also free. You get one prescription free. Most of these other companies now do a half price for a second one, right? But prescription glasses, test and prescription glasses for children is also free for an eye check, all right? That's all I have for health particularly. So building your credit is what I mean when I was talking about your finances. So it's not just you going to go and buy things on credit, all right? As much as you do that, that is fine. But what helps you to be able to get access to resources within this country is seeing that you are a player in the economy. And how are you a player in the economy? Is that they see that you are paying certain amount of money regularly. So your rent should not be something that you are paying every month. Which day of the month? 20. Okay, I'll go and pay it. All right. Make sure that you put what needs to go out of your salary, your outflows, make them direct debits. All right, direct debits on your credit card, direct debits on your debit card, because that way you build credit, right? So instead of paying everything a la carte, water bill, okay, have we paid our water bill? We'll not pay, we'll pay now. All right, those things don't help your credit score. What helps your credit score is that you are participating in the economy, which means that every month there's an amount that goes to water, there's an amount that goes to light, there's an amount that goes to rent. All those things are done in that way. And one other way you can do to build your credit score, which I did not even know will help me a lot, was that I took a loan. And I'll tell you how that I took a loan. I took a loan because at that time we're going to pay an IHS fee. It was really huge, and I didn't have enough cash. And I thought you could just borrow some small amount of money, spread it over a couple of years. And because I got that loan, I didn't know that this was going to be beneficial to me. I got that loan. Every month, a certain amount goes out of my account. When I first started, maybe the first 6 months, my debit score, my credit score was like maybe 810 or 700 and something. I don't even remember. Right. I didn't take it for almost a year because I was worried that all these people say I'll be paying loan, I borrowed money, my account is not this. I was just worried. The last time I checked my credit score, I could not believe it. My credit score was 906, like sky high. Like I can buy the country now on loan because my credit score is high. And that is the only reason was because I was paying a certain amount from a loan that did not fail. All right. And what they tell you is when you buy, if you anything you want to buy monthly, buy on your credit card. If you have a credit card, take a credit card, buy on your credit card. So let's say your groceries, all those things, buy your credit card, buy on your credit card. At the end of the month, pay everything back when your salary comes. Let your credit card come back to zero. All right. You spend from your credit card every month, you pay it back entirely. If you don't pay it back entirely, it still helps you. As long as you are helping the economy, but make sure that you are paying back money every month. That is one thing that will help you. Now, register to vote. If you have not registered to vote, it is important to register to vote. Now, this is not just because you are going to, you are going to choose who the political head is going to be. Registering to vote and being on the open register, right? So when you vote, when they ask you to register, they can ask you, do you want to be on the open register? The open register means that anybody can see your name. If they go and check the register, they can see your name. Any marketer can go and see your name. But the benefit of that is it is easier to get a loan from a bank. That is one of the benefits of being on the register. It is also easier to get mortgage because you are on the electoral register. It is easier to rent a house. So many people who have been trying to rent houses, I didn't find out. It's because the people, once they hear your name and they check for you, all right, when they check for you and they don't find your name, they're not sure whether you're fraud or not, if you are within the system or not. So it is important that you register to vote. So even if you don't vote, register to vote because it helps. As far as every other thing is concerned, very key things, and I don't know if Japa mentioned them, is volunteer. In this country, everything that you do counts for the future. All right. India, I shall only lend and not borrow. Okay. Everything you do in this country matters. What we have not learned to do while growing up in Nigeria is that we have not learned to emphasize the things that we have done, right? If you take up a small volunteer job in this country and they promote you, like they now give you a responsibility to be in charge of something, all right? When people are building their CV, they will hype that thing as if, it was something major. But that is where they get those skills and those qualities and those things that help their CVs to be able to apply for certain other jobs. All right. So even within your community area that you live, if they say there's anything that is happening around them, be part of it, join, speak out, volunteer for things, all right, because it helps your leadership qualities when you are going to get a job, right? And I'm saying this thing, Stakat, I hope it's being recorded so that you can give this to them later on. The second to the last thing I'll talk about is driving, all right, and driving, cars and driving. As you know, in this country, you can't drive somebody's car. I mean, you can, but you cannot drive somebody's car like that. It can be like, oh, today, can I just borrow your car? If you want to go somewhere, it's not possible because each car is registered to each person and that insurance is for that person. It is so you can, except the person buys you insurance for that day, you cannot drive someone's car. If you live in a city like Manchester, London, Edinburgh, where the bus, and probably Birmingham, where the bus network is very solid and you have a train system and everything like that, yes, don't worry, you don't need cash, all right? Your debit card is going to work. If you have a debit card, you don't need to have cash to be able to pay for your road transport. Almost all buses have a pass. You can either pay through your debit. When I first got into London, I bought an Oyster card. I got an Oyster card. I paid money on an Oyster card, but you don't need an Oyster card. Your regular debit card, all right, is going to work. And I think that your Nigerian debit card might work, but just check. It works, right? Yeah. So your Nigerian debit card works. So if you want to pay for train trip, bus trip, anywhere you go, that is it. If you live outside of the major cities where buses are not dollar card, it will work. It will work. If you live outside areas where buses are not, there are no trains and they are just buses, you might need to have a car. Now, if you were driving in Nigeria, oh yes, that's true. If you are driving in Nigeria, you can bring your Nigeria's driver's license. It doesn't have to be an international driver's license. Your Nigeria's driver's license will allow you to drive for 12 months, right? 12 months, all right, 12 months. After 12 months, you need to have a British driving license. So I encourage you to go ahead. Now, if you're going to drive with your Nigerian driving license, you have to realize that there are dangers driving in the UK without having understood the rules and regulations and coming with the Nigerian gra that, Lagos driving. There will be a. So I will advise you, there are so many opportunities and resources on YouTube for driving lessons. So you don't have to start taking driving lessons, proper driving lessons with an agency now. You can go on YouTube. There's a chap called Mohammed. I think he has Prime Drive TV. I'll send a link to you guys. He gives very good advice on you learning to drive, especially with roundabouts, making maneuvers, signaling. Don't tell people trafficate. Oh, please, they've said Nigerians say trafficate a lot. There's nothing called trafficate in this country. You don't trafficate. Okay, there are signals. So you need to start watching them. If you want to drive with your Nigerian driver's license, it's fine. I know someone who just came 3 years, who came 4 months ago. He already has a car, all right, but he's driving as well, and it was possible because he learned just the quick things about. And if you do that, it helps your ability to now pass the exam, all right? Because for me, driving often over and over and over again was what gave me confidence to be able to pass my driving test. So do that. Get your driving license and get your cars things sorted as quickly as possible. The last thing I'm going to talk about is I've talked about volunteer. Well, of course, join a community. A community means join a church, join a group of people who have similar values, same morals. Don't assume that because people are the same color with you, they share your values and they share your ethics. That's a problem that people just say. And I don't know if it happens to you, I don't know if it happens to you. Every black person you see on the road kind of says hi to you. Men. Like it's a code. Like if you see another black man on the road, if it's just hi or something like that, without talking, even bus drivers, I'm walking on the street, bus driver sees me, you see him nod, me too, I nod. Now I have accepted that it's okay. I just nod like it's a code. But do not assume that because they are the same color as you, they share your ethics, in fact, you can have your white British neighbor who shares the same values as you do than people who are black. But what I'm just trying to say is don't just associate because they are your color. right? And don't disassociate because they are not your color. Choose your community very well. If people invite you for a thing, don't commit yourself to say, yes, I will come, I will be part of you. Say, I will give you, I will visit. I'll try and, I have other things I'm involved with, but I will visit. That way, you remove the pressure of them expecting you next week or next month and stuff like that. So that way it gives you time to, review them, find them out and stuff like that. So lastly is your environment. Choose, for those of you who came into, you have come here. All right, yeah, sorry. So for those of you who came here and you have a temporary place and you're still planning to choose somewhere else to go and live, this is time for you to determine where you live. All right, because where you live determines a lot of things about your healthcare, your children's life and school, what kind of school, what kind of university they will even be able to ever attain, get to. It's important you choose them. Be careful the way you deal and reprimand your children in public because it's assault. Yeah, if you beat them or you shout at them, it's a problem. Your neighbors are watching, your children's teachers in schools. When your children don't talk at home, if you beat them and they go to school and they are sad and teacher says, what happened to you? My daddy beat me. The teacher is under compulsion to report it to the head teacher. And the head teacher, as long as he has heard it, must report it to the senior person in school. So be careful. Be careful what you tell them. And be careful how you tell your children these things. Because so one of my kids goes to a school where we have two mothers, where a child has two mothers. All right. And they come and say, my child has I'm like, you cannot come and say it's a lie. God hates it. You can't say that, because when you say things like that, your children will go to school and say, God hates it. You cannot have two mothers, and that's a problem. So you have to find a way to code things for your children. Teach them what is right. Tell them not to go and repeat those kind of things in school. Teach them well what is important. Safeguarding is a big problem in this country. All right. If they find that a child is being molested, intimidated, beaten, the state will step in, and it's a big case. You might not be able to get away with it, right? I think, let me just say this as I finish up. When a British person says, oh, lovely, oh, your kids are, what they call the British stiff upper lip, they don't say what they mean. Don't assume when they say, oh, wow, lovely, very nice. It doesn't mean it's lovely. It doesn't mean it's nice at all. If they say your child is quite, she keeps to herself, she knows how to, it might mean that your child is very, very, has inferiority complex. So you have to ask what they mean. Sometimes they'll say, oh, lovely. When they say, do you mind doing something? That's not what it means. So it's not do you mind. They want you to do it. Okay? So it's important you understand this, and how to help you is try and watch some of these British movies. Don't stop watching Agbaranla and Super Story in Nigeria every time. Please watch some British shows so that you can have an idea of how they talk, so that you can gauge when they are serious. Sometimes they're saying something really serious, but they'll just say it very nicely. Okay? And if you have any questions, I can deal, but I could keep talking. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Can we just give, to be honest, time is running as if keep chasing. So I want us to quickly move. Let's just give a good clap for Doctor. This is beautiful. Be careful of those English slangs. You may, you will. No, it's not Nigerian grammar. Be very careful here. I think there'll be time for questions. Let me just quickly call the last speaker quickly before we go to questions. Febishola is here. She will introduce herself. Please come on quickly, Febishola, please. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. So my name is Febishola Olanipekun, and I am one of them who has Japa inside Japa. So Peter invited me to speak based on my, my student experience in Ireland. But I moved from Ireland last month, but that's it from me. So about me, I said my name already. I'm an information security professional. I started my security career from Nigeria and then moved to Ireland with school. So I was going to do a master's in cybersecurity, but I was not given that because my background was in economics. So I did like a high diploma in computing, even though I had experience prior in cyber from Nigeria. So with that, I leveraged on that and my experience to get a job in cybersecurity. after my diploma in Ireland. Yeah, but yeah, and then before I migrated to like my new zone. So settling in Ireland, getting a job, and getting accommodation. That's majorly what I've been asked to talk about. So getting a job specifically, I've met a lot of people who said that their experience from Nigeria is not relevant. I always try as much as possible to counter that. If you look at it very well, there's a high rate of people that are being employed from Nigeria, especially like across the world. Check any continent except Antarctica, of course. People are going to different places. Their experiences are relevant from Nigeria. So why would you think that because you're a Nigerian student here, your experience is not valid? I understand that if you're already resident there, there's a tendency that they lowball or you, but your experience is very relevant. So that's what I always try to put out there. So one thing that is very important that I'll pick up from what Dr. said was that you have to volunteer your experience. If you haven't gotten jobs, maybe you're not getting the traction you need, especially around job before, like after graduation. I would say while you are in school, if anyone is still in school right now, while you are in school, volunteer as much as you can. Immediately I landed Ireland, because for me, away from Nigeria, I absolutely enjoy volunteering my free time, for others. So from Nigeria, I've been volunteering. And when I landed Ireland, I searched for volunteer opportunities in Ireland, and I came across different websites. And fun fact, every interview I had, when I understood that, the European system, they really love volunteering, I milked my volunteer. Oh, I used to volunteer a lot. There were people so many interviewers are like, oh, I love your volunteer opportunities. I love the way you called her. Can you tell me about one of them? So you don't just put any volunteer thing on your CV. You have to say, I did this, I was able to do this. Outside of work, I volunteer my time, I teach children this, I help to do this, for motherhood, and volunteer experiences like that really count. And something that also was very helpful was joining communities, like what he said, or picking new hobbies. For me, I started cycling. I think when I joined the company in Ireland, the new community I joined helped me to build relationships within the company and leverage on my network. What's the other thing, especially finding a job? Yes, LinkedIn is very important. Please don't underestimate your LinkedIn profile. You would have a lot of people reach out to you. I'd say my first week of landing Ireland, I had like big techs, banks, recruiters reaching out to me. But the limitation I have was my, student visa. You can't work more than 20 hours a week. And so many of them are always like, please reach out to us once you're about to graduate. And something I have to also chip in is, don't wait till you graduate before you start applying for jobs. Before you get to summer, I'll put myself up front here. I started applying for jobs from March, and I got a job in May, just as we approached summer. Like I was meant to resume 31st of May actually. So because I wouldn't be able to work, and 1st of June is when summer starts counting for international students, right? So I started my job at 1st of May, which was still okay, I believe, and I was able to work full time during summer in the security role, leveraging on my experience from Nigeria. So it didn't have to be just any job, right? And immediately after that, I was able to change job, which was also still a full-time job. So I'll say that for every student, as long as you have it, even if you don't have experience from Nigeria, every experience you had somehow, some way, it counts. I know people who leverage on virtual experience they have. So there's this virtual platform. I would drop it here. The name is Forage. I'll maybe share the. Sorry, until I can please help. I don't know how I send to you. So it's Forage. If anyone knows it, there are virtual internships you can take there on various, maybe cybersecurity, product management, product security, so many like areas, especially for students. You can explore it and take courses on the site. And for job, something good is also your certification. Where you need certifications, if you have to take certifications while you're in school. Also, connections on LinkedIn. My first job that I got before the start of summer, it was actually someone from my school. So here is how I use LinkedIn, especially when I was moving to Ireland. I connected with people who maybe graduated from the course I was looking to study, which was cybersecurity. I also connected with some people, Nigerians especially, that graduated from the school. I saw what they were doing, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of in line with what I want to do. And I reached out to them, and I tried to chat with them. Fun fact about the housing, it was somebody I reached out to on LinkedIn that actually helped me with a referral for house. So one thing I say is the strength of community. You can't do it alone. You can't be all by yourself. So reach out to people, ask questions. Oh, like don't be shy to say, hi, my name is Fabi. I just moved here. Like you somehow how you make connections. For me, when I reach out to people on LinkedIn, hi, my name is Fabi and I'm moving to Ireland, or I just arrived Ireland, I'm studying this, and I was wondering if you are aware. As long as you're Nigerian, I'll message you because the housing case was really a big deal, and you don't want to like miss out on opportunity. So that's how I met my house. The person who referred me to house, and apparently was now my housemate, right? So don't miss out opportunities on going out there to ask questions. And again, most of the people that I know that have gotten house in Dublin was usually through a friend of a friend. Somebody said there's a room available. So please tell people I'm looking for a house, I'm looking for a house, I'm looking for a house, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for. And the thing about like it might be hard, especially when you're coming as a family, it might not be very easy to get like your own accommodation, but you have to keep trying. And something I always try to maybe mention to families is thanks so much, Alida. Something I try to mention to families is maybe look outside Dublin. For students, look within Dublin, because going outside Dublin, you might not be, transport might not be the cheapest for you. For families, they can still stay outside and get a good place to stay with. And for sorry, I was taking my notes earlier. And I think I wanted to also say about thriving in Ireland largely is community based. You when I was living in Ireland, I know how I was counting like, so I had like a gathering of people like having dinner, and I realized like they were in the 20s, and most of these people were majorly from friend of friend, like sharing information, go for games nights, go for hangouts, like step outside of the comfort zone, play games, go to the park, take a walk, enjoy the scenery. Don't just stay indoors and just being all by yourself. The truth is there's a very high tendency of loneliness abroad. So what can you really do to help yourself? Because genuinely as a student, it was very bad. And I think during school, it was very, very bad for us who were studying online, because after class, you're done online, you stay back in your house. It was even bad in Ireland. I think you can't go beyond 5 kilometers from your house, some ridiculous rule. So what I used to do was I just go on walks. I walk for a stretch. Like I used to tell my friends, I walked aimlessly. I walked for 1 hour, 2 hours, and then I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay. And I go back home. And that was how I kind of got to know the area very, very well. Before I started learning to cycle, I started learning to cycle last year. And something of what doctor said of picking hobbies, how you never saw black running. I participated in one event, a cycling event in Ireland this year, July, Ring of Kerry. It was 170 kilometers. And I was really just looking out for black. I did not see anybody. I was like, oh my goodness, where are my people? Nobody's cycling. And my friend said, how do you expect to see a black person? That's not our thing. So yeah, and I was really encouraged to do this from the community of people I joined at work. So I think it's important to step out of your comfort zone, maybe within work. Again, leveraging on what doctor said. It doesn't have to be with only blacks that you mingle with. I think it's something called affinity bias. We are guilty of maybe going to a gathering and then quickly looking out for a black that you can be aligned with, that would maybe quote understand you. But I think it's important to step out, network with people. A lot of people will relate with you. Everyone has like some people are genuine, some people are not genuine, but go out, ask questions, talk to people. Some blacks are always working. Actually, blacks are always working. But yeah, there's a lot more to life than work. I would say like go out for games. I know I've been involved in so much. I started learning to swim when I got here. I never swam when I was in Nigeria. Like you have a lot more time to yourself to do many things. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that I hope I've been able to cover as much based on what I've been asked to discuss. And I made cogent points. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Adi. Thank you, Febishola. Adida, are you there? Thank you for the wonderful session, Febishola. Just to add to what she said, they say a closed mouth is a closed destiny. So speak up whenever you are, speak up. So we are moving on to the next session, which is actually the last session of the day, is the question and answer section. So if you have any question, you can actually raise up your hand or speak up so we can take the question, or yes, you can speak up so I can take the question. But I will start with the questions that were asked previously in the chats. The first question says, did you say we should take out address from CV? I think this question is for our HR person. Sorry. That is Okwemi Kaji. Please, can you answer the question?
Yes. So yes, I would recommend that you take out location, because again, my assumption is that you should be flexible enough. And another thing to also point is be open to as far as 20 miles or even 30 miles radius. Don't be limited in only saying, oh, I only work positions here. If you could leave Nigeria to come work in the UK, you should be open to work in various locations within the UK, and that flexibility actually gives you more options. If you want to only, for example, if you want to only apply to a particular role in a particular location, you will have only very few options. The moment you open that circle to other locations, you are also increasing your chances of being selected in other locations. And the hack is that those smaller locations, a lot of people don't want to go there. So hence, the applications that are going to those locations are far less as opposed to big cities. So if you want to move to a big city, you actually have more competition in trying to get that job. For smaller cities, you would have less competition. So yes, remove location so that you don't indirectly tell the recruitment person. Most roles are hybrid or remote anyway. So just put your phone number and email address. Forget about your address and not put specific location. I would recommend that, yes.
Oh, thank you very much for that. I think this question is for Dr. Henry. It says, there's a screening question on civil service. Do we qualify without being British?
Please, can you take that again?
So the question is, the question is, there is a screening question on civil service. I think you mentioned something on civil service, and the person is interested to know if they qualify without being British.
I don't think I mentioned anything about.
I'm the one that mentioned
I
that.
can answer that question.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I can answer that question. Within the civil, it's true, Okwemi did mention that they do offer sponsorship roles. I work with the civil service, and you do not need to be British. We have loads of people from India that work in the civil service. All you need is a valid visa. So if you come in as a dependent, maybe your partner is a student and you can work full time, you can apply into the civil service. The dynamics of applying for the civil service is completely different. And you will have to caveat some of the things that Okwemi has shared. Because the way the recruitment in the civil service is done is kind of slightly different, but it doesn't stop you from applying. The process is kind of more intense, and because the civil service, if you ever work in the civil service in this country, I mean, it's something they're very, very proud of. So they kind of like go into a lot of, length in recruiting talents that they want to keep. So please do not be deterred. You can work in the civil service, and like she said, the civil service is everything from the NHS to DWP, and their pay is good. So it's not like, don't come from Nigeria thinking civil service goes home. There is a lot of money in it, and they have a lot of benefits. They do fantastic training, and they offer sponsorship opportunities. So don't let it bother you if you do not have a British passport. We are actively recruiting. We're looking for you, so please don't hold back.
Oh, thank you, Lori Dedela, for that. Also, this question, I think, is open to all our speakers. It says, child is from 0 to what age?
Ideally, I would say 0 to 12, until a child starts secondary school and starts to take public transport. So any child in primary ideally will take public transport aided. When I say aided, accompanied, that's the word I'm trying to look for. But by the time they get to secondary school, they are usually able to take public transport on their own. They are actually, and then their schools are a bit farther. So normally, while they are in primary, their schools are not far from their house. If they go to a public school, if it's private, that's your own, you make your own arrangements. But once they are able to go to what's it called, secondary school, then there is a bit of a leeway because there's an assumption that the child will come from school shortly before the parents will come back. So that child can actually take public transport, come back home, access the house, and get into the house for about an hour or two before parents or adults return. So anything under that is a child.
Okay, thank you very much. This question is not clear to me, but I'll if Falana Fulaka is there, if you can unmute yourself, that would be nice. She said, please, anyone Tree Forests? Probably she's saying, is anyone in Tree Forest, Wales?
Yeah, she's asking if there's anybody in the area she's going to or she lives. That's what she's asking.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right then. So this question says, please, what do you mean when you say borrowing and using credit cards help us on the long run? Can you make, I didn't get the other part, but I'm seeing something like, can you make probably more explanation on that, on credit cards? This is also open to all our speakers.
It was doctor that spoke on it. If doctor could just touch on it.
So, okay, credit card. Yeah. So the thing about, so when you get, so not everybody will get a credit card. Somehow, every bank will give you a debit card. All right. That's your ATM card. Like that's what we're doing in Nigeria. But then they will ask, they'll find out if you are, they want to find out if you are eligible to get a credit card. Now, for most people, and getting a credit card is dependent on what your work is, how old you are, your dependents. Those are the things that they factor into determining if they can give you, they'll give you a credit card. So most people will be able to get a credit card. Now, a credit card, a debit card is for your account. You have money in your account, all right? But they will also give you an overdraft, which means that if there's no money in your account, you can still withdraw a bit more. And they'll tell you how much you can withdraw without you getting an interest. Once you overdraw out of that account, then they start paying you, you start paying an interest on that amount. However, your credit card is not your money. They give you a certain amount. So they can probably start with, let's say, £1,000. And they say, you've got £1,000 here that we're loaning you. All right. If in case you want to buy something, you can use your credit card to buy that thing. That money is on us. I don't want to pay from you what you have, from your own money. Okay. So what I said is, when they offer you a credit card, take it. All right. I know Nigerians don't want to take things on credit. They don't want to borrow. They want to lend to nations. All right. But in this country, the way it works, the way the Western world, the way it works is that your credit card is you participating in that process of economy, buying and selling, that puts you in the game. And that is how they know that you are participating within the system. And that's what builds your credit score. Okay. So if you want to use your credit card, what I advise is when you do your groceries or you buy things generally within the house, put all those things, buy from your credit card. Okay. Now, let's say you want to buy something £50, something £100. Let's say give you £1,000 per month. You want to buy something £40, something £20, something £100, something £250. And then at the end of the month, you see that you have spent £550 out of that money. Okay. It means that you are not spending from your debit card, right? You're not spending from your own money. What you do is at the end of the month, before the stipulated time, you pay all that £550 back, or you pay a majority amount of it, okay, or a small amount of it. When you do that, that process of engaging with the credit companies, it improves your credit score. All right. If you now have taken a loan, all right, or you even put, let's say, so there's something that I think I put one of my utilities on my credit card so that there's a recurring debit on it, so that they just bill me every month on that card. So that me engaging with that process of using a credit card and paying the money back improves my credit score. And increased credit score gives you access to a wide range of things, renting, even buying a phone, getting a contract and stuff like that. It helps your credit score. So engaging with the credit card, not paying everything cash down, all right? try not to pay everything cash down. That's the other thing. So if you are allowed, so maybe if you have started banking with, if you start with a bank and within 3 months they will not give you they will not probably give you a phone credit, right? But they'll give you a SIM credit. All right, let's say if you want to buy a phone, £1,000, all right, don't pay £1,000 straight away, right? Pay £200 and tell them to remove £50 over the next 2 years, all right, or over the next 1 year, over the next 10 months, or 1 year, okay? That way you are engaging with that process, all right? And that way you don't have to spend all your money that is coming from your account, because you might want to use your account for something else. You might want to invite a family member and they need to see your account, and they need to see that there's some money in your account for you to be able to take care of that person. So you don't entirely use all your debit card to pay for everything. Does that kind of clear it up a bit?
Thank you so much, Doctor, for that. These next two questions are actually for you. So it
Okay.
says, it's from Dami. It says, can Doctor touch more on children's schools and connection to future university? And
Okay.
also, he's also requesting that you share the YouTube link you
Okay.
mentioned for driving.
Yes, who wants to bring pot? Anyways, so for schools, Detola mentioned Ofsted. All right, this Ofsted is the school. So there's a rating, a UK rating for all schools. All right, that those ones rate schools as either inadequate, good, excellent, or requiring improvement, or something like that. All right. They also have a similar one for hospitals by the Care Commission. All right, Quality Care Commission, or CQC. Anyways, now what that does is a school that is doing very well will be excellent. All right. A school that is doing, not so, I mean, they're doing fine in many things, but not in every way, is doing, like, maybe is good. Okay. Now, I shared Ditola's resentment or a bit of reluctance with Ofsted ratings, because sometimes the Ofsted rating does not show that the school is a very good school academically, because the parameters that they look at include even just documentation. So your school can be rated 3 because you don't have good documentation. It doesn't mean that the students in that school are not doing fine in terms of their academic performance, right? But generally, a school that does very well, all right, has their documentation, the students are doing very well, those schools will have a very good rating. Now, if you go to a school where the rating is not very good, if your child goes to a school that the rating is not very good, it might mean that you have children, the teachers are not performing very well, they're not teaching as well, they don't have enough teaching materials, they're not well funded, they don't have enough resources, the children are learning under, things are not well safeguarded. So which means that the learning environment in that school is not very fantastic. So children who are even normally supposed to be very good might not pass as well as they should. And you know that getting into a grammar school, all right, and secondary school is dependent on how well you did in your primary school. And there's this thing called the year 6 exam. Is it not year 6 or something like that, where they kind of rate children? And Detora, you are aware of it? Yeah, they rate children in that. And if your child does not pass that exam as well as they should, right, they will not have any opportunity of going to a grammar school. Yeah, 11, yes, they're 11. You don't have opportunity of going to grammar school. And a grammar school is like a sophisticated secondary school where children are supposed to be, a bit more enlightened, they're faster, they get things quickly. If you do not get into a grammar school or a very high-performing school, when you apply for university in future, all right, the universities are very discriminatory. They will not accept a child that has come from one Igbo Rumole equivalent, all right, school here to come into Oxford. It doesn't work that way, all right? And that is why one of the things you have to do for your children is make sure that they're engaged in other things. Your children are here, let them learn keyboard, piano, hockey, jockey, whatever skill that they can get that they bring to the table. Because when they get to apply for universities, they would ask them for not only academic performance. In fact, the top performing schools don't only ask for academic performance because they know everybody is good. They ask for, what other thing can you do for our school? All right. Can you play football? Can you play basketball? Are you a pianist? Can you be a concert player? Can you be a gymnast? All right. And stuff like that. Those, you can know the ratings of the school. Just type the name of the school and say Ofsted rating this school. Ofsted rating Bournemouth High School. Ofsted rating East High, primary school, and you will see it. All right. So it is this Ofsted rating that kind of guides you as to which school is good and which school is not. But your child will only be allowed to go to a school, most likely within 2 miles of where your house is. So you can't go and choose a school that has very good Ofsted rating 5 miles away when there are 3 schools that are very close to you within 2 miles. So one of the things you have to watch out before you rent your house is which school do you want your child to go? And then you rent a house in that place and you make a case for that school. But prayerfully, you can still, request for another school if you have enough reasons to back it up to say, oh, this is this and this, I will take my child to so and so, it is easier for me and everything, and then they can allow you to put your children out. So that's what I meant by the Ofsted rating for a school can help your child's development on the long run. Okay, that's it. Then for the YouTube, I would just search, because I'll search it and I'll give it to you. If I don't get it now, I'll send it to Adedayo and he will message it to all of you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for that. I actually had a network issue and I lost access to the previous chat. So, but I remember there was a question for Opremi Gaji regarding renegotiating salary. I'm not sure I remember the whole question, but I think it's from Dami. Dami, if you can unmute yourself and just ask the question again, that would be nice. Dami, are you there?
Yeah, thank you. I think my second question goes to Adiola. Yeah. Doctor, I've answered the 2 questions. I wrote 3 questions there. So the third one is the one for Adiola. That's
Okay.
why she was talking, she said that she chose one of her choices living in a village. So I wanted to ask why the choice. I think I'm hearing something like that lately. So I just wanted to throw more light on it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You would observe the longer you stay in the UK, you will observe that villages are nicer. They are cleaner. You enjoy the community feel. You know, when we were young and we used to read about, all those UK books, you get that feeling in the village. The cities are congested, depending on where you live. Cities are congested. So I want to paint an image. Dami, where did you live in Nigeria?
I lived in Jodu Bega.
So thank you. You lived in Lagos.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, cities and their centers are like you living in Ijora, Japa, all those busy, very, very, Lagos Island is one I like to use a lot. You know, when you go to all those inside Lagos Island and all the way they live, like, in boxes, the further out you live, those areas are good. They are business, what's it called, hubs. If you're new in the country and you don't drive, you're probably a student, those are the good places to live in, because once you live there, you probably don't need to commute. You can save on transport because you'll be walking to everywhere you are going to. Those kind of things that are good for that. But the more you settle and you want to probably buy houses, you probably want to move to areas where you have garden. I've got 2 boys. You want a good big sized house, because we are Niger people now. We like to make noise and we like to fool everywhere. Christmas like this, we want to bring Nigeria down, that kind of stuff. So when you're looking at your investment opportunities, because all of these things have an impact. The more you settle, saying all these things now will probably overwhelm you and you don't need that information now, but those things just have a way of tying one into another. And those are the things that influence where your kind of like forever home will be. If you want to invest, buy a property, schools your children will be going to, you are projecting already the universities they are going to. So those are the things that influence where you settle in. When you're new, you probably move around a lot. Maybe every 6 months you're changing your house because this one worked this time. Now things have changed. We'll now move to this place, But once you are settled, those are those things that would influence. So that's why I live in a village.
Well, I also live in a village. More or less a village, all right? And houses are cheaper in the villages, all right? It's a lot cheaper to live in the villages than. So when I lived in London, when I lived in, Harrow, I was paying 1,200 for a flat ground floor in which the garden was shared between myself and the neighbor upstairs. So 1,200 for just a 1.5 bed, 1.5, because it was just one room that was standard, which is still the normal small London room, and half a room that's supposed to be like a box room, and I paid 1,200, and with taxes and council tax and everything, I've probably paid about 1,600, almost 1,700 in total. how much is my salary? So at the end of the day, how much am I taking home? Like, I have to do extra shift. I had to do extra shift, or else I will be in debt if I don't do extra shift. But I moved into the village, right? I live in a 3-layered house. I live in 1, 2, 3. I live in three floors, all right? We've got 3 toilets. I've got 3 toilets. I've got three bedrooms. I've got a large garden. I've got a parking space, all right? And I pay 900, all right? But in London, I had 1 toilet, 1 small tiny kitchen. I share the garden and all of that. The villages are smaller. They are cheaper, better air, quick. You can have is a quick walk into the forest, clear your air. You know, it's smoother. The people are nicer. They will actually smile at you and say hello. All right. Unlike in the cities, in London, if you greet them, go like, "Why is this person talking to me? Why is this person talking to me?" All right, stuff like that. But that's the reason why.
Okay, I just wanted to also share one perspective as well. So depending on the ages that, especially if you're coming with family, depending on the ages of your children, some considerations as well for the city you may want to go to. For us, we moved to a village. Well, it's a village, but we are a bit outskirts, and just similar to what Doctor said, the cost of living for a 2-bedroom flat versus a 3-bedroom house with a massive garden and a driveway was about the same. But one of the major considerations was that there's 7 grammar school in Gloucester, and there was just 1 in Bristol. So as big as Bristol was, everyone was fighting for their children to get into just 1 grammar school. So if I want my child to go to grammar school and there's a nearby town that has 7 grammar schools available, I will put that into consideration, as well as the cheaper cost of living in terms of rent, in terms of energy bill, because again, all of these things are rated. So the more expensive you are, the more expensive the environment, the location, actually the higher you're paying for even your council tax. Everything is just higher just by being in a major town. So I would say at the beginning, it makes sense to come into a major town just to get the job and get going, but you know that you're not there for a long period of time. So very quickly, you're already thinking, especially if you want to buy mortgage, you need help to buy. There's a limit to how much they can give to you, which is 349. Meaning that if you're in a major town, 349 is not going to be sufficient to buy what you want to buy. So at some point, you start considering nearby towns. So I guess it's the normal evolution, in my own opinion, that at some point your pocket will tell you the reality.
Thank you so much for that. This is going to be our last question for the day. We're actually far ahead of time. So the question is actually for me. It says, if the recruiter made a lower offer and you didn't accept, can you go back to renegotiate, and how long should that take?
So yes, you can go back, but again, I would like to say at the very beginning when the offer was made, what was your feedback? So was the offer made on behalf of the client? You don't know what you will get. Most times roles, at the point where you're applying, you already know. Even at the first discussion, you have already gotten feedback on what the rates are. So depending on whether you're working with the public sector or private sector, some of those rates are not negotiable, to be honest, because if you don't have the public sector, experience, you come at the very beginning of the band. So if a recruiter came to meet you to say, this is the price, and you said no, they have moved on, sorry, because at the end of the day, it's not an open-ended negotiation where they are going to wait for you till the day you decide you want to come back. But if, for example, the private sector, and you are still within 1 week from when you gave the feedback that you were not interested and you have changed your mind, I think you can reach out to the recruiter and say, well, you have had some other consideration, and please do not say that the consideration was now you are willing to settle for less. No, you have to look for a better excuse than that, because you look indecisive. You can say your family situation has changed, that location is now looking attractive all of a sudden, so come up with something juicy to tell the recruiter. But if you say, I'm now ready to settle for less salary, everyone's going to say why. That already indicates that you're going to be disgruntled over a period of time. So depending on whether it's public sector, private sector, depending on what you also said, because some people can be very cocky when they tell you, recruiter, well, I cannot settle for anything less than, did you see my experience? Don't you know what I'm capable of? Why can you, if you had already done, just shamefully move on. Just move on and forget about it. But if it was a conversation of, okay, I want to think about it, that's why I'll say, if you get to an offer stage or a final stage, and instead of blowing it off, ask for a day, 2 days, ask for 48 hours to think through and come back. If you don't have any job, please take it, put your leg in the door. Once you have it in the door, you can progress from there. You are not a tree. Get in and move from there. You don't have to take it, but don't have nothing and be doing shakara. That's the point. You must have something and then work from there. Because the good part is that the UK also has a system where nobody wants to offer you less than what you are earning. So already what you are earning is already the benchmark. You know, if they contact you and they say, oh, what are you earning? Recruiters will gladly tell you that, well, this role is below your, no need for us to progress. No one is going to say, oh, I want to move you, even though you are earning a particular amount of money that is below the budget. So depending on what that conversation was, if it's public sector, it's already fixed. Nothing can change, and most likely they have moved on.
Thank you, Opwemi, for that.
That is correct. Sorry, can I just interject? What she said is profound. Don't be afraid to start small. If you take up an offer, so long as you're still within a probationary period, your notice period is 1 week. So a bird at hand is worth 10 in the bush. You don't have anything on hand and you are processing quite a few applications. Take whatever comes into your hand first. I have a guy that says, I'm putting that in my back pocket. It starts the job. If any of those other prospects come up, you have just 1 week notice period to give to the employer. And like you said, you're not a tree, you move. Do not be, please stop their Nigerian arrogance. British people hate it. And they can see through it, even when they don't see your face. Choose your words wisely. Do not say to them, oh no, I'm not doing, and then come back and say you're doing. You are unstable. No manager wants to work with you. Take time to think about it. You can take a week. Take a week. We're children of God, I am assuming. Pray, confess, listen for the voice of God. Let it lead you. You have a week to do it. There's no pressure. And you would have noticed that in this system, pressure doesn't work. Systems work. So it's not by gra-gra, it's not by I want to tension them. They are not tensionable. And their face is expressionless. So take your time, pray through it, because sometimes it might not be about the pay you're getting on that job, it's the network you're going to be able to make. It's about the opportunity, it's about the training. So in 6 months, you've made so much progress, you're probably not richer, but your next job will pay you ×3. Because you spent time in that environment. A lot of people like the public sector for that. Because once you say you have NHS, you've been a project manager with NHS, wow, the private sector wants you, PwC wants you, because they are consulting for the NHS. So please bear all these things in mind, and the Lord will prosper all our ways. It's been an amazing time. I have to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adetola, Opwemi. Just before we move to the last session for today, I would like to remind everyone that has yet to fill in the form to kindly do that, so that we can reach out to you after the call with the right links, recording, and every other details regarding the social media platforms and every other details. So kindly fill the form, and yes, we'll reach out to you. I would like to call on my colleague Eunice Eshaw to give us the vote of thanks and closing prayer. Eunice, over to you.
Thank you so much. Wow, this has been an amazing time. I would like to thank everyone for being a part of this meeting. It has been great. I've learned so much, and also would like to thank all of our guests who have honored us. And thank you, Opwemi. Thank you, Onore. Adetola, thank you, Bebisola, thank you, Pastor Henry. You have done an amazing job detailing and giving us all the information we need. We thank God, and for everyone who has joined in, to say thank you. We pray that your journey in this season will be a smooth one, and we pray that God sends you help. You will conquer this land, you will excel, in the name of Jesus, as your feet, even those that have not crossed over, as you have crossed over into this space and this land will speak for you. You will be among the top 1%, and men will yield you. You will not regret this season in Jesus' name. Thank you very much. I also want to mention that for those in Manchester, for those in London, central London, there's a Covenant Nation community that you can be part of. And also, if you are yet to be to register for this semester of the Diaspora Community Group, it's a good space to start with, because you'll be able to engage and meet other people like yourself, and also connect. Because remember, we don't do life alone, and you can't be doing life alone when you're in the Japa space. So thank you all so much, and have a good evening.